welcome back to the shed. Today I'm actually going to do a resin pour. A little resin cutting board, and using some product here called Nick Pro. I use this exclusively on most of my cutting boards, river tables, river boards. Nice thing about this product is it's a 1-to-1. I don't have to do any conversions or 2 parts or a milliliter of this, a milliliter of that. One, done. Simple stuff. So I'm going to go over what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my wood pieces here, get them into my mold, and then I'm going to show you a way to get an accurate measurement so you're not wasting resin. So that's, resin is expensive, and if you don't have to waste it, you don't have to waste it. So let's get set up for that. All right, welcome back. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to lay out my wood in the mold the way I think I want to look when I'm doing it. And this is what I do with wood is I always go for the cheapest wood because usually the most effective. And this one was actually split already, so it was already cracked when I looked at it. And I was like, that's perfect because I want the voids, and it's cracked along natural fissures and defects in the wood, so that actually adds. Well, I don't have to make a cut. I don't have to make it break to add natural deformations. So first things first, I want to lay out where I think the wood should, where the pieces are going to go. This is just the initial layout, and this is nothing to do until we're ready. Then I found that airsoft BBs make a great media to space you need in liquid volume, because you can just take this volume, pour it in, spread it to where it fills the voids. I guess I'm wearing gloves a little earlier now. I'm not ready for the pour yet, but I have them on anyway. This will fill in the voids of the mold and of where the resin needs to go. And that'll give me an approximation of how much volume of liquid I need to make up for a particular pour. That's looking pretty good amount. That'll settle. So I always go this, I already poured this in once just to get an idea. So anyway, that's about accurate for me, and I add a little bit of 10% more because I'm going to plane it down anyway, but this gives an accurate number for me as to how much resin I need to make up. Take the wood back out. Okay. I'm just going to pour these BBs in here because I already know how much. I just used it as a guide to show you peoples. There. And these molds here that I've got several. This is a silicone mold, really flexible. Get off camera. And what I do now is it's time to clean the mold with a little lacquer thinner. Oh yeah, a little lacquer thinner. Clean her out, make sure all the dust and old particulates or matter is wiped off the surface. Not looking for a clean super span, but any contaminants they'll be in the finished product, because resin will just encapsulate anything and turn it into part of the product. So, but the mold's all set. Mold is clean. I'm prepared for that. That there. Now put my wood back into place where I like it. Fill the sides. Main piece right in the center. Square up where I think is appropriate. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Okay, so that's all set. Now that that's prepared, I made a critical mistake that could have cost me a lot. Everything back out. Because resin sticks to anything, I always put down a little bit of mold release. That way it'll come out of there. Then I just use silicone spray. We'll be able to get that piece out later now. See if I remember how I put this back in again. It's a pretty one. Nice figuring on this side. That's pure maple, but that's got some nice figuring I like. So I'm gonna put that in there. There and there. Okay, I think I'm Okay, my mold is ready. The wood is prepared. Now I'm going to mix up my resin. So first things first, I'm going to start mixing up my resin. But first I want to check temperature. Right now I'm at 84 degrees. That's perfect because you don't want to pour resin realistically under 77. That's kind of a sweet spot for this resin stuff because it really gets, you can get cloudy, you can get brittle, all kinds of funky things can happen. So I'm going to take my part A and my part B, and I'm going to fill up to 600 milliliters. So that means I divide that by 2. Let's see, basic math. Yeah. So I'm going to do 300 milliliters. Okay. Of part A. And guess what? I'm going to do 300 milliliters of part B. This is the thicker part. The other one's a little thin. This is the thick part. So they will naturally separate a little bit just because of different viscosities. Take it up to the 600 mark. And ease it into it. Ease it into it. Come on, ease into it. There we go. Okay. Just a hair bit more. Not just a bit, but a hair bit. Okay, now, because I'm going to do 2 colors here, I am going to separate this after I agitate it. Give me a second. On low, spin this stuff everywhere. That should be fairly well agitated. I'll agitate it some more when I get it mixed into colors. Set that down. Actually, I'm just going to set that right on my paper towel. Okay, and it doesn't want to stay there. Okay, we'll try it again. There we go. Stay. Thank you. Now, I'm going to take half of it, since I'm doing 2 different colors. I'm going to pour half into this one. Let's go over here, soft BB. Ease up on it. Looking pretty good. There we go. Oh, overboard. See, made a mistake. Oops, my bad. So, no, actually, check it out. Right on. That worked out. In case, oh, we're a little hair over, so let's pour it a little bit back. This part's not critical. I'm just trying to make best use of what I got. Okay, so now we got fairly consistent, equal amounts. Now I'm going to start adding pigment. And this board, I'm going to use purple and pink. And some silver. That's a pretty royal purple, so I'll take a couple of dips. Add a little bit. It's really depends on how much you want. A little go a long way, so that's honestly pretty good for the purple. But okay. Put that back on that. And the pink one, I'll do the same thing. Ooh, look at that pink. That's a pink. Oh, that's pink. Oop, I'm gonna get it everywhere. Okay. Oh, this is gonna be pretty wild. Okay, I'll set that over here now too. Put the lids on these before I go and stain up everything in my shed here, including myself. Okay, now I'm going to mix it back up. Move this one back over here. Okay. You got about a good little bit to work with these things, about 45 minutes or so. It's not like it's going to epoxy. This is epoxy. It's not like it's going to harden instantly. So you got a little bit of working time. And you know what I'm going to do? I forgot. I'm going to add a little bit of silver flake to each one of these. Oh, yeah. So I'll add a little bit of silver flake here, just to each one, just to make sure we get some of that nice color. Some really sparkly stuff into it. Okay, put a little bit in. And it's flying everywhere. A little bit in, a little bit in. A little bit goes a long way. A little bit will go a long way in this one too. So it is kind of fluttery, floaty stuff. There we go. That looks pretty good to me. It's kind of a mad scientist thing where you pick and choose which way you're gonna go with it. And there we go from there. Let's go back to agitating. The purple one first. Yeah. I'm gonna add a little bit of speed to it. Okay. Now I'm gonna do the pink out. Okay. Now I better hang on to that top. Woo! That's some pink stuff. All right. Now set that back over there. Put the drill aside. Okay, take this one out. What the color's gonna look like in there? It's gonna be fairly translucent, which I like. I don't want to be totally solid color. I'd rather it be a little bit. That's pretty pink. I might add a little more to that. I think I am. I think I'm gonna add a little more. The pink is not as vibrant as I was hoping it would be. So I'm gonna add a little more pigment. That I was hoping really vibrant pink, but subtle may be the way it goes. But we're adding a little more powder. And because we can, I think I'll add a little more purple too to the purple. Because we can. Whew, sweating today. It's the warmest day we've had this year so far here. And I know about it. And the shed doesn't help. No insulation. That metal roof is really pulling through on me. Okay. Let's stir those back in. Start with the red. That looks pretty good. Okay, now I think we're finally about ready to pour. It's been a little bit here. I apologize, but sometimes you gotta go out a little slower than you think. Okay, that one there. Yeah, pretty far somewhere. I think I just got the pink powder on my face. We'll go with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pour just a little bit of purple. And then I'm going to pour some pink from this direction. And then I'm going to do the same, purple this way. And I'll come back with pink this way. And let it lay out. And some pink this way. And some pink over here. And some purple. Them to offset each other, and then we just pour the rest in. And we need these, every little bit of these things out, so I'm actually going to squeegee them and push them where they need to be. So we measured up what we needed, plus a little bit of variance. And if I need to add some just clear on top of that, I will, because I'm going to be running this through a thickness planer, which will take off probably a good 1/8 plus. So let's push all this into the cavities. Like that way, like that, this way, like that, this way. Nice. Okay, get rid of that cup right there. Now do the same to the pink. There's a piece of silver that didn't mix up well. I'll keep that the silver out of that one. Pour it in, squeegee it down into place, and I'll push it around where I like it and get my design going. There. Push this over the pink over there. Push that purple there. Now, the unfortunate part about wood floats. And this actually is fairly buoyant, and believe it or not, this stuff will float, and we will have issues. So I'm going to take, like that, I'm going to stir here in just a second. And I got this stuff all over me. I'm going to grab a paper towel. Got pink powder on my table, purple powder. That's okay. Alrighty, so now, as I'm planing off about an 1/8 inch off the top, so I'm not worried about what's on the surface of the woods at all. So now one thing I can do is I can look around for something heavy to put on these. I'll do that in a bit. But right now I'm going to do my stir. And this is what you do just to mix up the color. Just to pull the purple into the pink and the pink into the purple. Add some swirl. And that'll naturally pull everything out. Plus you're working those air bubbles to the surface. With a nice slow pour, those little air bubbles will come up to the surface and you can get rid of them. Nice and nice. I like that. Okay, I like that. That looks good. Looking good. Alright, let me let that sit. That's it. Okay, pull the purple on top of that. Now, see, I'm floating, so I'm going to actually put some weights on there here in a second. Anyway, I'll let this dry off camera. And then what you do to get rid of any air bubbles, I see some forming, is you hit it with a torch. And you actually cook off all the bubbles. And it just takes a second. And then we go from there. And now we let this sit, but I'm gonna actually add some weight to it. So I should have took off my gloves too soon because I got some waste I gotta get rid of. And anything plastic would be fine. So I'm gonna look around for some plastic stuff to put on that. I'll look around for some plastic items to put on top of these temporarily. And I'm gonna let this harden overnight and into tomorrow. And I'll catch up with you here in just a little bit. Well, it's been about 4 days since I poured this. I let it rest over the weekend and get good and cured out, or at least hardened anyway. Cure time on resin, full cure out is probably 30 days, but initial dry goes pretty quick, usually 24, 48 hours. If I give it a little more time before I try to unmold it. So that's what I'm going to do today is I'm going to get unmolded And I'm not sure if I'm going to get through the planer today or not. That might be another day, but I'm going to have all this video seamless. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to start, it's a silicone mold, so all you do is got to press it away. And it peels off pretty easy, especially using the mold release I put on before I set it. Yeah, it's kind of sticky in areas. And the areas are sharp, so you don't want to break your mold. Let's see if I can get a hand under it. Okay. Without tearing my mold. There we go. Alright, there's one. This corner here. Don't tear the mold. There we go. Now it's all downhill. It's releasing. Okay. There we go. Get the mold out of the way. And voila. Ooh, that's pretty. Yeah, I see a lot of the silver. So what happened is looks like a lot of the material started to float on me. The wood did, and I didn't get it down weighted heavy enough until the seeped through. So it's got a lot of the silver flake I mixed in is on the backside and just floated under the surface of the floating wood. But that's okay. It's kind of it's okay with me. I'll still plane it down, and we'll get what we get out of it. It doesn't bother me one bit. But we don't have any straight surfaces. They're nothing really square to work with. So the first step I need to do, now this side's not that bad. This side's got a little tapers from 32nd. It bulges here. So what I need to do is I need to take and put my belt sander across this edge here just to get something flat to work with. Because once you get at one straight edge, then you have the capability of making another straight edge off the table saw. And then you got two nice edges you can put on the miter saw and chop one side and then chop the other. So you can come up with a nice square all the way around. Or one and then one. Either way, any way you want to get to it, end up with a nice square. But you can really see some depth. And it's hard. So I might see if I can get this through the planer tonight. We'll see. And if not, I'll get it into the planer tomorrow. And then I won't bother you showing you the planers. And this is really loud, and it just would blow everyone's eardrums out. So I'll see if I can get it through the planer and get back. Well, I ran it through the planer. Came out pretty smooth. I see I have some marks from my planer blades are getting very dull. I need to swap them out. But it cleaned up pretty darn good. Not bad at all. Looks really nice. I really like it. This side looks really good as well. Very nice. Very, very nice. All right, I'm going to get it through the edge sander, and I'll be right back. I'm going to try and take off this one edge here. Well, we're back. I just got done running it through the table saw, chop saw. I'm going to cut this end off yet. But as you can see, my entire shed shop is full of white or pink and purple puff. My dust collector came apart mid-plane and just kind of made a mess and started throwing shavings everywhere. So now my whole shed is covered in puff stuff. Anyway, great. All right, anyway, I'll get this all cleaned up, and we'll start the sanding process. Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm ready to go at the sanding here. So I got my sander. I got 3 or 4 over there, and I like to use the sticky back 5-inch discs. A lot of people, they'll use the hook and loop or Velcro style discs. I prefer the pressure pad or the peel and stick because when I'm done with it, yeah, I could say that the hook and loop are semi-reusable, but they still wear out. And one thing I asked about the sticky back is I can fold it in half, and then I got a small piece of sandpaper, or I can take, let's grab a piece of wood here. Let's grab a piece of wood. And I can take, and I can lay it on there, fold it over, and now I've got a sanding block, which allows me to sand in one direction, nice and flat. Keeps things flat rather than anyway, I've always just used peel and stick, and it works good for me. So I'm going to sand it up here. I'll probably do a time lapse because I don't think you want to sit here and watch me sand for 20-30 minutes. One thing as you're sanding, sanding is friction. You're removing surface with grit, and this is 120 grit. And I'm starting out with that, and I'll go to 220, then 320, 400, and maybe even 600, and then I'll put finish on from there. But it gets hot. The surface will get warm because you're abrasiving and moving material. So what I do is I keep the sandpaper cool, which makes it last longer. I'll do one area, and before it gets too hot, I'll move it over to a cooler area of the board, and then work through back and forth. So I'm actually moving the sander around the board, trying to keep the sandpaper cool, keep the surface cool, makes the paper last longer, and you're not condensing all your sanding in one spot at one time. I do see a couple micro bubbles. I'm gonna have to put a little bit of clear resin in them just to make them to the surface. We'll get that. And like always, technically I should be wearing my PPE. I should be wearing my dust mask. I should be wearing my ear protection. I should be wearing my safety glasses. But I'm not. So you should. Do as I say and as I do type thing. So wear your safety gear. That's one side. Well, that's all the 120 for right now. And I've just dug out another sander, and I'm going to do some 220. And basically start all over again and do it in 220 grit. And you make sure your sander's off before you plug it in. Make sure it's off before you turn. It's always exciting. Now I don't want to work. What the heck? All right. Let's try this one more time. Basically, the 220 is taking out the scratches that the 120 left, which took out the scratches from the planer. So you're just generally slowly removing surface scratches down to where you got a nice swirl-free, scratch-free surface. You know, I just thought of something. 1 second. Over here in a drawer, Christmas time, I got a set of bench cookies and I've never ever used them. I think now would be a good time to use them. What a bench cookie is instead of using a towel or a piece of carpet like I've done for 20 years, it's these little discs and they got slip stuff on them. And they will hold your product in place, and you can push on them and they won't move. So let me give them a run. I got some small bubbles. I'm gonna have to refill some material here soon. Let's see, the bench cookies only work good for working on a flat surface. I'm gonna need to sand the edges. Before that, I need to go back to my towel. Yep, noticing a couple little bubbles that formed and they were exposed. So I'm going to put a little clear drops of resin in those, try and get them to fill up. Looks pretty good to me. I'm really satisfied with it. So I think that's going to be it for tonight for me. I'll pick this up. I'm going to put some resin in these tonight, but I'll pick it up tomorrow. So you guys have a good one. I'm back. I thought I'd make a quick thing and show you. I take a little bit of hot glue and make a dam around where my holes and imperfections are. That way it doesn't spread all over the board and whatnot, I'm able to contain the resin as I pour it into the imperfections. Well, I've taken the time to put some extra resin in these little areas that were kind of lacking. And what it is, I made a hot glue dam so the resin wouldn't spread out too much. I found a couple little ones I need to add some more to, so I'm gonna pry these hot glue dams off and finish getting this thing sanded. Make sure, safety first, keep your hands away from chisels. Chisels, believe it or not, are one of the top injury tools there is, because you trust them too much and you get your hands too close and oops, and all of a sudden you've impaled yourself or you've caused some other pretty substantial injury. Not that it's going to be life-threatening, but it's still enough to cause you to have a bad day. Sometimes the stuff sticks pretty good, and sometimes it give it a little more effort than I want to get it out of there. One little chunk there. I'm trying not to scratch the resin surface underneath it too badly, because that just means more surface sanding over everything to get one surface scratch out. All right, there we go. I like that. I like that. That looks pretty good to me. Nice. Okay. I'll go at 220 again. Chisel. Bag. Alright, now we're back to 220. Did a nice easy coat. Now the next step, I need to decide whether I want to put a edge detail on this or just leave it as square with a sanded off eased edge. I'm thinking about the board. And I think on this one I'm just going to go with an eased edge. Yeah, just an eased edge. So for doing the router work, I'm going to move on to the raising of the grain. All right, 1 second here, clear up some space. Okay, that away. My bench cookies. All right. Sorry about cutting in front of the camera there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my board out. Now we're going to, I can't decide which side I like better. Anyway, so we'll take some regular water and you're going to mist the surface, and you're going to get it wet. Just enough so that it's all just naturally wet. See the natural colors really pop out. Do all the edges. And the reason for this is why? To raise the grain. Because on cutting boards, you want that grain raised so that when the customer washes it or uses it, and all of a sudden they go and they put it away and it feels like 80 grit sandpaper because the grain is all raised after the first use. Let's get it all nice and wet. It's all just saturated. Just regular water. Now I'm going to let that dry. Today's a nice day, so this should actually dry off in just a little bit. And just like that, we're back. And the surface is completely dried off. Really feels different, really rough, smooth, rough, smooth. Really feel and hear the difference. So slide the cookies out of the way, bring the board back into this towel. And I'm going to hit the whole board again one more time with 220. And why am I doing that? Because when you douse it with water, when it dries, it raises the micrograins. So they're standing straight up and they're really rough and difficult. And then you sand it again with 220 to eliminate those sharp points. And then honestly, if you want to do it again, they raise up some more and then you do it again. And so you can go back and forth 2 or 3 times. I've heard. I've always just done it once. That 220 really just kind of polishes the surface really nicely. But wait, there's more. So on this one, I think I'm going to step up, try and polish it even a little more. I'm going to run with some 400. Okay, that's 400 grit. Really feel it feels really good. Don't drop it. Yeah, it feels really good. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to blow off all the little imperfections in the side. And just like that, we're back. And the surface is completely dried off. Really feels different, really rough, smooth, rough, smooth. Really feel and hear the difference. So slide the cookies out of the way, bring the board back into this towel. And I'm going to hit the whole board again one more time with 220. And why am I doing that? Because when you douse it with water, when it dries, it raises the micrograins. So they're standing straight up and they're really rough and difficult. And then you sand it again with 220 to eliminate those
sharp points. And then honestly, if you want to do it again, they raise up some more, and then you do it again. And so you can go back and forth 2 or 3 times. I've always just done it once. That 220 really just kind of polishes the surface really nicely. But wait, there's more. Excuse me, here. So on this one, I think I'm going to step up, try and polish it even a little more. I'm going to run with some 400. Okay, that's 400 grit. Really feel it feels really good. Don't drop it. Yeah, it feels really good. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to blow off all the little imperfections in the substrate. Once I find where my air nozzle is. Where did I put that air? Oh, there it is, right there. Side. Okay. Now there's a choice to be made. What do I want to put on this thing? I think I'm going to go with my standard oil and wax finish. So I'm going to put this down here temporarily. Grab some blue towels, blue shop towels, and I make a bed for this thing to sit on. So I don't get wax all over my sanding towel. And then, because it will transfer to other finishes, and you will have some fish eyes if you're not careful. Let's do the back side first. Feels good. dust free. Oh, first things first. Where's my 220 grit? 220 grit. There it is. Nice thing about the PSA, just fold it in half, sticks to each other. I got a piece of sandpaper that's double-sided and grippy. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to ease the edges. I'm just going to take the 220 and just break the edge so it's not so sharp. Just on that, trying to keep a 45-ish degree angle and break that edge. Just to get rid of that sharpness. Called eased. It's a nice eased edge. Okay, that's the back side or front side? That's the back side. Let's go wax the back side first. Okay. Get out my wonderful jar of beeswax and lemon oil and mineral oil. And I get a good liberal amount on here. Nice warm day. And I don't know, lay that rag down there. Then you just caught the video on my introduction to beeswax and mineral oil finish. You recognize this jar of material I've been working with, and I'm getting down there. I even mentioned on my other video that I don't have much left. There's about a half a quart here. That's all I got left. I need to make another whole gallon or two. That'll be an upcoming video. Wow, this thing is really starting to pop some color. I'm thoroughly impressed. So I'm just lay this stuff on really, really liberally. Let it just soak in. I'm going to give it 15-20 minutes of surface time. Sit there and absorb. The color just pops out like crazy on this thing. I like it. Okay, there's extra stuff here. Put it back together. Okay, back into the jar it goes. Till next time. It always works good for skin lotion. It's all natural material. Beeswax, mineral oil, and some lemon oil. I'm gonna let that sit there, 15 minutes or so. Put a piece of wood under one corner to keep it from sticking to the absorbing into the paper towel as much. So sit like that. And we'll let it rest. And just like that, 15 minutes goes past. I'm gonna wipe it clean with a drier rag, uncontaminated rag. So this is just the first coat. It's going to get a second where it will really build the sheen and build the protective layer. All right. Looking good. I like it. Okay. Dry that off. Dry that off. Dry that off. Okay. Now for this side. Nice. These resin boards are pretty popular. They're not too difficult to do, and anyone can really do it with some basic hand tools. You don't have to have anything major. Luckily I have a planer. If you didn't have a planer, a belt sander, and some time is all you'd need to get down to flat, or a hand plane even. I haven't done that, but I'm just saying, where there's a will, there's a way, and you just got to work with what you've got. And that's kind of what this whole channel is about, is small project woodworking and using tools less expensive. There we go. There's our resin board. Not sure what side I like better. I don't know. Anyway, you can really see it's really transparent in areas, and really can't see the light. Oh yeah, there it shows pretty good through the light. Light reflectiveness straight through it. Ooh, and even the purple shows straight through. There it is. It's really pretty. I don't know if it's picking that up on camera or not, but from my angle, it's really beautiful. I'm gonna take this dry rag and wipe it off. And I'm gonna let this sit overnight, and I'll do this off camera. I'll do another coat, and then it should be ready for the proper use. Cutting board, charcuterie board. Recommend chopping on it. Use it for what it is. It is a cutting board. The resin I use, the Nick Pro, it's 100% food grade, so it's safe and not edible, but it's safe to work with on foods after it's cured. And now it's cured, so it's gonna be somewhat safe. Don't go chewing on it, but there we go. Well, thanks for stopping by. Another project in the bag.